Good afternoon. Scott Campbell up in Laval, Quebec, and good to be putting up a little short video again. For those who follow on Facebook, you know that just about 2 weeks ago, my oldest brother passed away after a series of serious heart attacks. And the question, obviously, that one asked at that time, among probably quite a few questions. At least one of them is, well, what now? What happens to a person like my brother Dean who physically has died? I underline physically because often when we say someone died, we might think that all of them has died, and that's really not at all the case. And so I say Dean physically died, but then what? Once again, those who follow on my Facebook page or occasionally see it, at the very end of I think a description of him, I put he was a Christian, and that's fundamental. In fact, I truly believe there's nothing more fundamental about the identity of a person than that fact. To say one is a Christian, I say I am a Christian. And that to me is more fundamental than I'm a Caucasian or I am North American. Uh, I am what? Educated. I am a pastor. I am a husband. I am a father. All of those are part, obviously, of my identity, contribute to it. But for me, when we say I am a Christian, that's the deepest thing we can say about ourselves. Because being a Christian means that our spirit and soul are literally joined, linked forever to the soul, to the spirit of Jesus Christ, to his life. We're not erased. Uh, we still exist when we're a Christian. We're not robots by any means. But he is linked to our deepest part, and he affects our spirit, our soul, and our body. However, this physical body does die. That's been very clear since Genesis 2, only the second chapter of the Bible, that talks about physical death. Because uh, in Genesis 3, when we broke away from God, we see that we became separated from not only God, we became separated from others, separated from ourselves, separated from the physical world. And God had said, "You will die if you detach yourselves from me, because He's the source of life." So Dean is physically gone. So then what? Uh, what for the Christian? Where is he? If first of all, he is somewhere. Our soul is immortal, is eternal. And Jesus, more than anyone, makes it clear that we can know where we will be after our physical death. One of the best passages along those lines is John 14, where he says, Jesus says, believe in God, believe also in me. And he says, in my Father's house are many dwelling places. If it were not so, I would have told you. But I go to prepare a place for you, and I will come again and receive you to myself. It's a very clear promise that there is truly life after death. And for the Christian, that life will be spent with Jesus Christ, with God the Father, the Holy Spirit, and with others who also are linked to Him for eternity. And he follows those statements with probably one of the most known verses of all the New Testament. He says, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So he has laid out in the first couple of verses of John 14, he's laid out our destination, when we're linked to Him, when He inhabits us. And then He's also clearly stated the way to get to that destination. It's fantastic, really, because if it's one question that people ask at different times throughout their lives, it's is there a heaven, or is there some way we can know that we're going to spend eternity in a good place, in a positive place with God? And Jesus lays it out and says there are many dwelling places. You have a place, but you need to understand. You need to come through me, pass through me. I am the way, I'm the truth, and the life. He doesn't say a way, a truth, a life. It's very definitely the definite article. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And so it's been a tough 2 weeks. I don't mean to minimize it. I've been in, like, virtually anyone who has someone who physically dies, we're in a daze. We've got when we're alone, especially when I've been alone, I've been thinking of it when I get up, when I go to sleep. In the middle of the night, I wake up, and it's like my first thoughts go right there, right to Dean, even though he is not there anymore. But there is a hope in all of it for me, and an assurance. In fact, Paul in First Thessalonians, he writes, "Those of us who are Christians, we grieve, but we don't have to grieve as others do. Because of this link, we know we'll be rejoined to these people who have physically died and moved into the next life." So that really does give me hope. And this weekend, I'm headed to El Paso for the funeral, for the visitation, for the funeral, for time with family members of mine, family members of Leo, who is my who is Dean's widow. Members of her family will be coming, and so I'm looking forward to just being there to obviously mourning with each one, remembering the wonderful parts about Dean's life and how much he impacted us. His intelligence, his humor, his perseverance, such a hard worker. His his grasp of the political aspects of the world. He was so well read. And music. He loved classical music. He was kind of a Renaissance man. And of course, being younger, I always looked up to him. And so, but most of all, I'm encouraged that his most profound identity, he was a Christian, and now I suppose more so than ever. So I'll leave you with those thoughts. Thanks for listening.